We moved into the community with excitement. After years of saving, we had finally bought a beautiful home in a gated neighborhood known for its strict but safe homeowners association. My wife, Amira, and our two children, Liam and Zoe, were thrilled. But on our very first day, a woman with perfectly coiffed hair and judgmental eyes approached us. "I'm Karen, HOA president. We don't tolerate unapproved changes or disturbances here," she said, eyeing our moving truck. At first, we brushed it off as typical neighborhood formalities, but then came the notes. A letter taped to our garage. "Your grass is 1.3 inches too high." A warning over the kids' chalk drawings on our own driveway. Karen was watching. Always, she seemed particularly irritated by me. Maybe it was the way I dressed, or my silence. I kept a low profile, despite her escalating complaints. She didn't know my background, didn't recognize me. Then, during our first HOA meeting, Karen humiliated my wife publicly. "Your backyard furniture doesn't match our aesthetic code. We'll fine you if it's not gone in 24 hours. I clenched my jaw but said nothing. I didn't want trouble. But Karen had declared war. Within 2 months, Karen had filed 8 formal complaints against us. From our mailbox design to the frequency of our trash pickups, nothing escaped her wrath. We received a $500 fine for parking too close to our own curb. Another $1,000 for unauthorized solar lighting. It didn't end there. One evening, I caught Karen taking photos of our backyard through a gap in the fence. When I confronted her, she smirked. "You signed HOA rules, remember?" The stress began to show on Amira. She cried silently at night, overwhelmed and isolated. Our kids started asking why they couldn't ride bikes outside anymore. Karen had labeled them unsafe. I began documenting everything. One day, a drone buzzed over our property. It circled our patio, hovered near our bedroom windows, then zipped away. I traced it back to Karen's house. She was escalating and had no idea who she was really messing with. I hadn't told Amira who I really was. Not fully. Karen certainly didn't know. She assumed I was just a mild-mannered newcomer with no connections. She had no clue I had once worked in federal cybercrime and still had friends in high places. She had opened the wrong door. It was the 4th of July. I had set up a small backyard cookout for my family, just us, grilling burgers, watching fireworks from afar. No guests, no music, nothing loud. At exactly 8:14 p.m., 2 police cars pulled up. Karen had called them, said we were hosting an unauthorized gathering with illegal fireworks. The officers were polite, even apologetic, but they had to check. One scanned our backyard, while another asked for my ID. Our kids watched from the porch, confused, scared. After they left, Amira broke down. "This isn't a life. This is a prison." Karen had gone too far. 2 days later, we received a notice of lien. Karen had pushed the board to fine us over $3,000 for multiple violations. If we didn't pay, the HOA could take legal action, possibly even seize our home. Amira looked at me, eyes full of tears. "Why won't you fight back?" I couldn't tell her everything. Not yet. But that night, I opened a locked drawer, pulled out a hard drive, and logged into a system I hadn't touched in 5 years. Karen's file was going to open whether she liked it or not. I began digging. Karen wasn't just power-hungry. She had a history. A sealed lawsuit from her previous neighborhood, quietly buried. Evictions. Civil complaints. Multiple name changes. Even a restraining order filed by a former neighbor who claimed she poisoned their dog. She had moved from HOA to HOA, leaving destruction behind each time. And this time, she'd chosen the wrong family. I gathered screenshots, digital fingerprints, public records. Even the drone she used was registered. Her tech left traces. Sloppy traces. Then I noticed a pattern. Karen always targeted families with children, and almost always minority families. She had a bias she never admitted, but her trail said otherwise. I made a call to an old friend in D.C. Let's just say, "I've got a Karen problem. Want to help?" He laughed. Say no more. The trap was being set. Karen had no idea her quiet neighbor was about to expose her darkest secrets. That Friday, I met with two former colleagues, both now cybersecurity experts who consulted with federal agencies. We gathered at a coffee shop 3 towns over. I showed them the data, the drone logs, HOA meeting recordings, threatening messages Karen had left. I even had photos of her stalking my kids near the bus stop. They were appalled. This isn't just harassment, it's predatory. We decided to compile a full digital dossier. A timeline, a list of victims, cross-reference complaints. One friend would send it to a news outlet. Another would reach out to the HOA ethics board. Yes, that's a real thing. The final piece was a surprise I had saved for last. Karen had faked a permit to become HOA president. The document she'd submitted? Forged. Badly. Legally, she had no authority at all. And yet she was ruling lives like a dictator. She's done, one friend said, but I wasn't after revenge. I just wanted peace for my family. Karen would be unmasked publicly and legally. The news spread like wildfire. Local stations picked it up. Residents were stunned. Many had feared Karen, but no one had dared challenge her. Until now, within hours, people started coming forward. Neighbors who'd moved away. Couples too scared to speak up before. One woman confessed Karen had fined her for planting a rose bush out of alignment. At the emergency HOA meeting, Karen showed up rattled, clutching a folder, and wearing sunglasses indoors. She tried to speak, but the board interrupted. Karen, effective immediately, "You are suspended pending investigation." Gasps. She stormed out, fuming. I watched quietly from the back. She still didn't know who had taken her down. Karen didn't go quietly. The next day, our mailbox was smashed in. Our porch lights broken. A dead squirrel was left on our welcome mat. My instincts told me it wasn't random. Security footage confirmed it. Karen's car had driven past our home 3 times between midnight and 3 a.m. I sent the footage to police. Within 24 hours, she was arrested for trespassing and intimidation. They found unregistered pepper spray, bolt cutters, and the drone in her trunk. The officers took statements. I handed over everything. Amira looked at me confused. "How did you know how to collect all this? Who are you?" It was time she knew. I told her everything, my past with the FBI's cyber division, my undercover work, and why I had stayed silent. She didn't say a word. Then she hugged me tighter than ever before. "You saved us." Karen was charged with harassment, falsifying documents, and trespassing. The HOA board resigned. A new one was elected, this time diverse and fair. I was asked to join, but I declined. Peace had returned. My kids played outside freely. Amira smiled again. Still one day, while gardening, our new neighbor asked, "How did you take Karen down like that?" I just smiled. I'm someone who knows how to keep records. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just my past that won. It was my choice to act when no one else would. Karen had tried to bury us. But in doing so, she exposed herself. And finally, we were free.